Hello there everybody and welcome to episode 6 of my tutorial series for Songs of SYX version 65. So today we will finally step into the industry sector of the game. So that means we're going to start refining in a large scale and we are going to have some fun today with a new technology. So first of all, I will invest new researchers, as we can now easily pick up new immigrants. I'm gonna pick up the whole lot of these 20 as we have great things in mind. So for today, I meant to go into the brewery technology, as I have figured that this is one of the most impactful and easy to understand things, and it is fairly synergistic with our currently running bakery industry. So we unlock first the crude brewery, and after that, a little bit later down the road, we're also going to unlock the tavern. But we're gonna get started with the brewery there. That was a tad bit of a distraction. So we are now with 140 people at a new rank, the Apprentice. The Apprentice is a really good rank, or important rank, as we unlock now finally the ration maker. So we're going to talk about the ration maker and his value a little bit later when we're going to talk about drink rations and alike. So you can find the brewery either via the magnifying glass or you find it here in the refining tab. So the brewery transforms coal and containers and grain into booze. So we are lacking now currently coal. We can do this two ways. We could either produce coal ourselves via charcoaling, or we could and will just import it for now. We will charcoal in a few episodes, whatever. But for now, we're just going to set up coal as another import good, as this is really easy to do for us. Go. Selecting coal, and as you see here, the stuff is also very cheap. Not really worth the effort putting up an entire industry for that. By the way, the pasture will just take a while until it is running, as we currently don't have any animals, because we are only featuring a very low amount of livestock on the side. You can speed that up. If you are coming from the last episode, this might interest you, by just importing a bit of livestock. So just a smidge. A very low amount of import will steadily help you upgrading your pasture, and you can then just turn it off when you're done with that. But we are actually after... No, we got the coal. Forget it. We have what we wanted. We import coal, we import the vessels here. Of course, here's the same rule applies. You could have also set up an industry for clay gathering and then just make these pottery items yourself. What's true in either way for this game, it is really hard, if not even somewhat impossible, to fulfill everything at once and in one city at the very beginning of the game. That won't work. So we'll be setting up the brewery right next door to the bakery, as these are very similar industries with their intake. So we're going to set it up like that. Just put up a couple of kettles, following the wise lessons that I've learned from my wise commenters, by just putting some of these on the walls instead of making my life unnecessarily hard with these in the middle of the room. And we're just setting up a wall like that. Needs a storage again. We're going to put that, though, as close to the entrance as I can, as this makes it easier for logistics personnel to pick up stuff. And auxiliary kettles to increase the efficiency. Never sleep on that, never leave that out, as we want to be as close to the 100% efficiency, or we always want 100% efficiency, why shouldn't we? So we're going to use these little guys here. Oh, it's getting clear that I overbuilt myself again. So, well, scenarios like these, we just rip out a couple of the kettles and put in auxiliary kettles. There we go. We're not blocking our move ways too much, And as you see here, this is a real huge investment in terms of pottery. Our economy is now more and more stressed out with these things. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why I have set up a pasture for more food production. So we're going to go now over to the tech department and unlock the tavern, because obviously it'll take a while until the brewery is running, so we might as well unlock Skull. I love this. I love the new technology names here, by the way. It's really awesome. So we're going to put the tavern right next to the janitors. I like the idea of that. So we will find that. Let's see, procreation? No, that was the wrong thing. I think it is here under, let's see, entertainment, no, other, distribution. Distribution is where we find the tavern. It distributes the alcohol among the needful. So we'll put this down like that. Don't make it too large, as these buildings are notorious in their hunger for furniture and the like. So we're going to put up a couple of tables here like that. And as you see here, tables instantaneously increase the amount of furniture we need to put in. Let's put it down like that. So carpets, if you want to put them in, we need fabric for that. If you still just use knickknacks, you will use more furniture, so you can choose your poison. But as you see there, this is a cozy little thing, and it provides enough services for starters. So let's put in doors and let that run down. We even have enough furniture for everybody, so we can easily see these things getting completed. Oh, the brewery also needs furniture. Never mind me. We'll have a pretty long time ahead of us until we have all that settled down. But it ain't that much of a big deal. We're gonna get there. The only important thing that we need to do is we need to keep chopping them trees. I also will employ now finally those woodcutters. As you see, the city is filling up. We are more and more capable of just putting up the necessary workforce wherever we need it. The consumption rate of our city just keeps on growing, and as the consumption rate keeps on growing, we better employ a couple of extra bakers as well, just to make sure that our food clock isn't dropping too quickly. At this point, if we'd wanted to, we could also start exporting our overproduction of bread. Let's check this out. And our city is producing so much happy vibes that you see that we have an insanely strong pull on the Cretonian species. So let's check out the business of bread. More often than not, exporting things doesn't pay off, but here we import the grain for a really cheap price. And if we check it out here, the recipe converts grain on a 1-on-1 ratio into bread. That means we import grain for, let me check, 2 pennies a piece, and we can churn it out back for 10 pennies a piece. Of course, there comes also a piece of wood in there, so we make a big profit even by just importing. If we would import everything, we would even make still profit. So we can now easily just export the total amount of spoilage. So okay, never mind. Bread is spoilage has been reworked, by the way. The spoilage ratios are always a tad bit different, but we're just going to export like 20% of our total production. As we can always crank up our production even further, it is just a wise choice to, you know, use our generated wealth to our benefit. And if food production is where we are truly excelling at, it's simply a good idea to just crank it out even more. You might notice that our denarii count is at a chronicle low, but that is just because we are constantly churning out the money that we earn immediately again. As you see here, the brewery is eating up the pottery, and the tavern is eating up the furniture as well as the pottery. So we might just add in a couple of extra carpenters. and authorize a couple of immigrants. Like I said several times before, take the stream of immigrants carefully. Don't sweat it. Don't try to do everything at once. We could now also adjust the bakery to use coal if we'd wanted to. I won't do that, as wood is just available for us and with no problems whatsoever. We don't have the necessity to do this. We just need to wait now until our orders have been fulfilled. There's one thing we could do though that might be just quite smart on our end. We could just start importing a little bit more furniture, so we can easily get ourselves the constructions here finished. Okay, so the real sweet deal about these industries is we are already importing grain, and we can therefore just use our entire imports and put them into big profit. On the other hand, you could now just go in there and let's see, where's the pottery? So we could technically just unlock pottery, and I think it is here, there, and import the clay instead of the pottery and burn it ourselves here. So let's check it here. Clay is dirty cheap, so while we are waiting for these things anyway to get done, we might do that as well. Just import that clay. You don't need to excavate it yourself. Again, just set up your pottery yourself. Since pottery is something that is just needed in so many areas of your city, it is, in my opinion, one of those industries where I totally think it is worth investing into this import. There we go. A couple of workbenches here and there. 22 workers. Ain't much, but we can work with it. And now let's put in the auxiliaries again, as usual. By now, you should be having no problem whatsoever with this method. I'm pretty sure some of you are even seeing lots of improvement here in comparison to my methods. That's totally okay. So pottery is interesting because check out the ingredients. There are no high-tier ingredients in there. It is just like the carpentry, one baseline industry, allowing you to convert clay into pottery. Therefore, you could have done that already from the beginning. Here again, the same sentiment stands as usual. But we didn't, because it was easier at that point to just import the pottery. But the deeper you go down this game, the more you will notice that importing the base materials is way more effective and efficient compared to importing the finished material. So therefore, in this regard, we will now go over to stop importing the pottery altogether as soon as the buildings here are completed. I want to have that influx while we have big building projects of the imports, as this does help us tremendously to get everything kickstarted here. But as soon as this strain, this burden is over, we're going to stop this method, as it is not really good for us. We're also going to set up more and more people into the bakery, as primarily, or no, technically speaking, the more bread we produce, the better off our city is, as we are by now exporting that stuff, which means if we produce more than we can eat, we're just earning more money. We'll just import the grain back into the city, and trees, well, we can chop them. They're growing quicker than we can chop them. So you have here already a very simple cycle that works out just like that. And here we have small-scale pottery. In my opinion, it is small scale with just that amount of workers. We keep 5 people working here, as we currently have our first delivery of clay in. We can here see that we have now a production of 4 pieces of pottery per day. This is really not much, but I need the pottery more for the steady requirement of pottery for the brewery. So we're basically preparing the baseline production. Like I said before, you can also just produce your drink by importing all of the pottery. It is here again with each and every game different, but here, check this out. We have a heavy case of homelessness. Let's fix that real quick while I keep explaining. Like I said several times before, you just can't know where your what your neighbors will be providing. This is random, and every game is different in that regard. Let's put down a huge housing block here. But this is the real big charm for me that Songs of SYX has, as it is just one game that simulates an entire world so well that, I don't know, playing this game since a couple of years now, and it just keeps getting better and better. Alright, this new housing block here will remove the homelessness problem. Never sleep on these things. And here, by the way, we see that our army is getting bigger and bigger. So we can easily employ only 3 recruits here. As you see there, once they are trained fully, they'll stop working there and they'll get somewhere else. So we also have an automatic division being raised. The only thing that we here have as a problem is that these guys aren't geared out, but we'll fix that on another occasion. All right, so the bread exports are turning in quite some money. You can also just check out your treasuries here. You see always the incomes and the expenses, and as you see there, we are immediately expending whatever we are earning. But this will ultimately stop. Right now we are just in a very needful position, in a very needful moment of our civilization, but that's totally okay. Now, let's move into the details of drinks. So we have here the excess menu. So you see that here, starvation is really bad. Food preference, we have filled that out almost to 100%. Pretty much everybody gets what he or she needs. The food days are slowly dwindling, so probably we need to kick our production again back up a notch, but not much. So here we have food rations and drink rations. So drink rations is what we're currently working on. As soon as we have the drinks being produced, oh, we should probably set up a stockpile for that as well. These will be distributed among the citizenship and be made available at the tavern. This will make people happier. You will also notice that there are a amount of target rations. So this means the more drink rations you provide, the more they will drink. This has first just beneficial effects, but if you keep giving your people too much drink, I haven't tried it out myself, but I've read that it's not a wise choice to give your subjects as much booze as they want. Let's leave it just like that. Either way, this allows you to configure how much drink and eat everybody will get. The really interesting part here is that we also have the ability to put actual we can now put up actual rations out of our food. This is being made possible by the ration maker. So this guy is transforming spoiling things into non-spoiling things. In the past, we have not had any extra costs. Nowadays, we have herbs as an extra cost that we need to put up there. Luckily, we can farm these, and I'll just do that as a preview of the industries that we will get ourselves towards to in the future. But the real big benefit about rations is that we can use them as food storage that doesn't spoil, and, or as quickly, because I think they do spoil after a while. Yeah, 10% though. And you need these to feed your overworld armies. That's another point that is really important. So, as we see here, the current workload of our bakery is more than our grain imports can stem here. That's pretty nice. That means we're working on full gears. I like that. So I tuned down the exports of bread here a little bit. so we don't sell off all of our production again. So fast forwarding here on mega speed, as the city is stable, we keep an eye out on our food clock and watch while our buildings are slowly getting finished. As you see there, furniture is the biggest problem here. We're not slowly getting the pasture filled because of the fact that we don't have money to import animals, but that's okay. As I have put this on auto-employ, there is not much workforce. I don't know what these two guys actually are doing, though. Whatever. We have now the tavern opened, and here... Where do we have it? As you see here, the tavern need is not going up. That is because the tavern is practically useless without the intake of drink, as you can clearly see here. So, our import priorities are a little bit wonky, as we see here as well, as the grain imports are not being preferred anymore. Foolish, foolish people, but we shouldn't have that much of a problem with that, as the next grain imports will come surely soon. If that ever happens, though, let's see if this feature has been removed or not. Well, we can't do manual orders anymore, never mind me. In the previous versions, we were able to just manually order things if we ever had the need to do so, but whatever. So we're now shutting off the pottery imports, as we don't need them really that badly anymore, and we're shutting down the amount of furniture imported. After a short while, you will already see it here, grain is already going in there, so after a short while now, our grain imports will stabilize back up. As we are now putting up a new industry that requires grain, we should absolutely get ourselves a bigger stockpile of that stuff going, and probably we should amp up the coal production here or storage here as well. Alright. So now we have this huge industry rolling, and we'll employ for now 10 people in there. Turn off auto-employ, as with these super huge industries, I don't agree with what the game puts up there. So here we already see the big problem. We have a consumption of pottery that exceeds our production capacities by far. So at this point, you now are struck with the question, either do you want to bring up a huge pottery industry into your city, or do you accept the fact that you just have to import pottery at regular paces and it's just a necessary evil? I'll leave the answer to that question to you while I'm silently enabling my pottery imports yet again, as I personally feel this is the easiest way of getting the job done, but it never hurts to have your own pottery industry in the background providing as good as they can. The thing here is, again, our species, the Cretonians, aren't really good at what they're doing here. So you will quickly notice, if you want to optimize your industries properly, that every species is ideally importing their stuff in certain areas. As you see here, it is not only that they're not good with it, it's also making them unhappy. So all in all, we would be a wise sovereign here if we would be even shutting down the pottery at some point. I'll leave it up to you how you want to handle that, because I don't want to over-optimize this gameplay too hard. The most important part that we want to talk about now is that the need for taverns should be fulfilled rather sooner than later, now that drinks should be rolling out of this place. We don't have the grain yet, so you can always see that this red flag is telling you that things are not working out as intended. We fast forward a couple of days. I bet that it'll only take a short amount of time until we got ourselves the money together to import the grain again, as we have a lot of wood in here. So here's another little tweak that we can use. We are going to store more wood than before and just start chopping more wood as well. and that means we're going to export more wood, which means we're going to earn more money. Keep in mind, though, that this is a limited thing to do, as the more wood we sell, the less attractive this stuff goes, and the less money we gain for that. So it is something that you shouldn't do limitlessly. So we import a little bit more fruit as well. And let's wait until our grain is finally imported again. As you see there, we should be just doing one thing. As our city is large and full with everything, we should be just farming our grain ourselves. So you see that trade has its advantages, but also its clear limits. You need to have dirty, rotten amounts of money to make sure that your income is steady and your imports are steady, sorry. And that can be sometimes harder than you might think. So here we are going now for a max size farm. It has an average fertility of 66, that's okay. And it'll bind 21 farmers. It'll also cost 200 grain. So to easen up our thing here a little bit, let's zoom out and let's see. Here's some forageable grain. It's always a nice thing to do that. And let's see, is there anywhere else some? There's some wild animal guarding that stuff here. You should really respect those saber-tooth guys. They're really quite nasty. And let's see. There's a very small thing there. So, well, that should be okay. At this point of the game, you can totally decide for yourself, by the way, how hard you want to optimize or play it casually, leisurely. This is one of the things that I love about this game, as it brings me very close to the, well, old-school city builder vibes that I'm looking for. So, you clearly see the grain is not being brought in a sufficient amount, not at all. We even get to the point where I got the feeling as if even my bread industry is not coming along nicely. We have sometimes larger amounts of money flashing up, but you also see that at the same time that grain is being brought into the treasury, it's immediately going out again. So we got to do something about that. Luckily, over the course of the time, this fine area here will provide also exportable meat money. So all in all, our industries are growing. Take your time with this game. It's totally okay. As we see here, that industries can grow over time. And one experience that I've made with Songs of SYX is pretty clear. There's nothing worse than over-forcing something or trying to make something happen too quickly, be hasty, and such. This is one of the most foolproof ways to get yourself into big trouble. Therefore, we're going to play it slow. And as you see here, since we are not able to import all the grain we need, we're just going to start buying it, producing it ourselves. So we got a invitation for trade. We'll just accept that, as it is wise to try so. If somebody doesn't like it, they'll tell us for sure. So, alright, this is outright extortion, but we're just going to accept it. We are not military versed as of yet, and therefore we're going to let ourselves get bullied. This is not too glamorous or too cool or anything, but sometimes you just have to take it. So, let's see. Our tavern's need is slowly rising, and here, this industry showcases really well how demanding it can be to get some of these more complex industries going. Pretty much all of them have their caveats, as we have here the problematic of the vessels that we need in terms of pottery. As you see here, imports also have their limits if we don't start selling away other stuff that we dearly need. I could, for example, start exporting stone, but I don't want to, as this is not really something where we have a big and endless stockpile of. We are just going to wait until this big, bold grain farm is putting off her income. Yeah, so we have a bit of sick people. That is something we will take care of in the future episodes. For now, we are just going to see how cool this works. And I think the production clock here is correct. So we need a lot of stockpile there, and we can now lower our total import level as well. I'm going to lower my import level even to a very tiny amount, as I am going to increase my stockpiles for grain now by a lot, as I want to have enough stockpile zone for my harvest. I guess we won't be needing to import that much anymore ever again, as we now have just what we need on this farm. As you see there, our Crotonian farmers are really powerful. They are skilled and therefore gain a bonus on the income, and this is a really nice demonstration of how important it is to roll alongside with the talents of your citizens. Alright, the longer we let this roll, the more drinks we will have, the more happiness the taverns will generate, and you already might or might not have noticed that taverns are quite a tedious business to get through with, as they require you to bring up a lot of effort in terms of materials to get the ball rolling. But it pays off, as every one of these more sophisticated industries churns out tremendous amounts of extra happiness. Because I just want to show how much wider that bar is than the other bars. That reflects how much potential it has compared to other services, wells, markets, all these things. They are rather limited in their impact. Taverns, though, there's a lot of leeway of extra efficiency there. Alrighty, my friends, we'll leave it like that. We're going to continue our adventures in the next episode, when I will work myself towards the next bigger industries. We are now at a really cool spot, as we have now stupidly much grain, so it will be no problem whatsoever to let the bakery run on permanent super high efforts, and we'll see where we'll begin with all that. Thanks for watching, you all. I really appreciate you all having a good time with me here, and I hope we're going to continue together the next few episodes. Comments go down below, a thumbs up would be appreciated, consider subscribing, and of course check out the description box. There is a link to, what's there? Oh, they're cold, we need a hearth. There's a link to the playlist, and there is also a link to my Discord, so if you want to hang out there, have a chat, feel free to join. There's a lot of like-minded gamers hanging out there. And I also want to point towards Patreon and PayPal and buy me a coffee. I'd be super delighted if you'd give them a look. And a big thanks to all the supporters. I deeply appreciate your help. And also a big thanks to you watching this video, because without you, this video would be entirely worthless. So, have a good day. Thanks for being around. And next episode, I think clothing industry might be the next. No promises, though. See you there. Have a good time. Bye-bye.